Hey, Libra. This is Joy with Joy to the World, ready to take an intuitive look at your cards and see what you guys have cooked up for us today. Right here at the top, this first channel we're going to run down, it says dreams come true. Look at that lightning breaking open the rock. In a sense, that is letting me know doing the impossible. And in our first row, we have number 43, the deep knowing. It's like coming to know yourself here through the layers of your mind, getting on board with what it is we're about to find out. Okay, so let's see what's going on beneath here. Okay, so we have the Hermit. Taking a closer look inside of yourself, trying to find out what that is, but it would make sense because a lot of people don't dabble in the impossible. They relegate that part of their dreams into fantasy land, into fairy taleville, and keep it there in a place that is unattainable, unreachable. And the first thing with breaking down the impossible to make it possible is to make it attainable to yourself. I love it because here we have that owl, and very earthly creature, just perched atop right here between this planet and our moon. And that's the planet of the self. So taming the wind. Okay. This is from the Mystic Shaman Oracle. It's number 55. It comes to a perfect 10. It has to do with the hands, the heart, and the mind. It's guarding you, warning against what all philosophies, what all forms of thinking you allow to pass into your mind, to be your own governor, to take charge of what fills your filter. It's almost like a clogged lint filter. And it's seeded with doubts. It's seeded with other people's intuition. And again, like these messages that are given here, it's just simply information and my perspective. It's like road signs, guides along, like guidelines on the roads, the margins on a page set in place to help you take it and use it as it's working in accordance with your life. But in this case, this is like some of the people you've been entertaining. Some old ideology that just needs to be thrown out. For some of you, there's literal physical paperwork, some old stuff that you've been keeping around that's kind of weighing you down that needs to be discarded. It's like it's out of date already. You're more progressive than you know, and so give yourself credit for that. But often you're on to the newest adventure and haven't really dealt with the information that you just burned through. So make sure you clean up behind yourselves. Just a strange little word there. It could be physical, or just the mental. But this is the pathway into the possibility. Is giving it permission to be accessible first, okay? And then the Hermit will take you there. It'll be the introspection, the looking and examining your own star, your own stardom, your own magnificence, and your power to create. And from there, down inside, it's letting you know, oh, hey, it is taming the wind. Hey, we got to tame this wind right here. It's clean out the lint filter. You know, as things move through, just like when you put things in the dryer and they go through the process of what you've put them in there for, it produces some debris that you need to keep it cleaned and cleared out so we don't have a fire. All right, next row we're going to take a look at is damned if you do, damned if you don't. There's a blockage going on here. Ooh, okay, this is in regards to relationship, connection. It can be a lover, but it can also be on many facets because it's a matter of the heart, and that touches everything. Think about it. Our blood pumps through there. And what part of our body does the blood not reach, right? So it's about keeping it healthy, keeping it oxygenated, kind of like here. cleaning it out. Need a new start. Okay. Woo. Well, that's in your favor. We have the wheel. Okay. And the wheel's good at moving and turning and progressing things. In this state, it's like you're stuck here, damned if you do, damned if you don't. When I saw that card, it felt like it's very much a mindset. And it's like saying you're being set against yourself. And how do you ever win if you're against yourself? You can call it self-sabotage, but it can also just be a gridlock, a stalemate in your thinking. It's like not moving forward, not challenging yourself to see things differently. And that doesn't mean you have to step into a new relationship to do that. Often that's what's been activating your heart, and therefore it picks up, the new relationship picks up where the last one left off, even if you've done a lot of the cleaning and the work. So we'll see what else it's saying about different ways to engage relationship. But I do see a hint at, in this particular wheel card in the Tarot Grand Lux by Ciro Marchetti, it's really hinting at the 4 angles in your chart. So if you're someone who likes astrology and likes to look at your natal chart, go look at the IC on your chart, okay? See, it's really pointing out down here. It's kind of like your North Star. It is tapping into that place that is going to turn life in your favor. Even if you do not, like in my case, there are no planets in that house. But there are people in that house. Lots of relationships, friendships come in that are in that sign, unbeknownst to me. And it's a good match, great friendships, very complimentary. So take note of that. Take note of what planets are in that house. Take note of the zodiac sign there. And see where that begins to give you like an edge, some insight, some wisdom into a part of your personality that you may have been underplaying and underutilizing, and therefore playing into this role of the broken heart. It's almost like not realizing you had access to that within your own self. Maybe you're drawn to very charismatic people because you feel that you're kind of shy, and that you're really good at being support behind the scenes with them, and then therefore they go and shine, and then you feel left behind. What if you find out in this North Star of yours, this the IC, the angle of the 4 angles in your chart, you find out that you shine. You're able to stand forward. You're charismatic, and you just didn't know it. Some of that comes from our early programming. Sometimes it comes from having had a bigger personality in the house, that it was easier just to let them shine, because if they couldn't, things would go awry. So you would step off and ease down and kind of like sequester or suppress that part of yourself. But when you look in here and you begin to look at the snapshot, the picture of yourself, and you could read up on it. You could watch a few videos on it, on some tarot or intuitive videos, to get a vibe of where it begins to activate things inside of yourself, okay? And underneath there, we have the Andean cross too, okay? That leads to being balanced, guided, directed in your life. It leads to partnership of divine magnitude. No longer like the bicycle pedal, having to move along like this in that relationship where, although you're connected, you're never on the same page. Although you're moving forward, you're always like ships in the night, that type of thing. Here it's really about, it's telling me sitting down at the table. It's a meeting of the minds. It's someone that you engage with on all levels, mind, body, and soul. You sit down to dinner. You have intimate conversations with. You enjoy the interplay, the connection, the dialogue. Okay? So that, I got to say, y'all, that's fantastic. Look where it's moving from. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'm glad we could just like, we're blowing that mindset right on out of that water, right? And clean up that heart and helping you feel good again. Letting that heart pump that healthy, good blood. The oxygen's coming in again and vitalizing your body. Because that's what we want here at Joy to the World. So over here on this next row we've got going right here, the top card says, start forgiving. And this is showing a trickle-down effect. In the way I see this moving, it creates a system. It's activating the system. Like a battery in your car only operates because it's connected in a circuit. A circuit is like a system. In this sense, it's the light and the dark, the yin and yang, the beginning and the end. It's the water and the rain, like the evaporation, condensation, precipitation. Everything has its stage in which to go through. And it's time for you to flourish. It's time for you to have your independence, to have your joy of living and your freedom, being free from that, and to be able to own those parts of yourself, whatever it was that occurred, whether it was, some of this is unforgiveness that you had against yourself. So let's dive in and see a little more before I just run this mouth. Aw, sweet. I love it. Number 35. We have the loyal heart. I want you to notice the doors are open down here. Both doors are open. Okay? Taking a second look. Taking a second look. In this case, kind of piggybacking off the damned if you do, damned if you don't, now that that mindset is set free and clear, and you begin to know yourself more in the 4 angles of your chart, that creates a lot of balance and stability, and being aware that you're not supposed to be in that bicycle relationship. You're just being urged to take a second look. It's not looking back, it's taking a second look and seeing what's going on there, because in the pennants that are hung across the top here, there are keys. Each of your key is up there waiting. Often these pennants that are going across the top on this particular deck, the Wisdom of the Oracle, there aren't keys there. So take that second look. There's some keys of wisdom there. We have the owls here. It can lead to reconnection. It can lead to altering the connection. Sometimes things just didn't go well because maybe we undervalued ourselves, or maybe we always catered to a certain behavior pattern. Like if people are used to you always being the one driving when the group goes out, they're just going to think that way and operate that way. Now, knowing it's a little bit deeper here because it's relationship and connection with others. But it's one of those things that can be taken for granted if that's the standard mode of operation. But it wants you to take another look, to know that there are keys there, there's wisdom there, and to notice that the heart be open, which I think is what we just did on this last row here. Because part of these readings that I have is I'm not just here to say this is coming, that is coming, or whatever. I simply look into the energy, and the energies are here in front of us, and where inside ourselves isn't something that we can quite put our finger on and come in contact with. That's why these come out here. And like a reading I did last night, the world had come out upside down. And once I got the message from it and moved on through it, I decided to turn the world right side up, because that's what the sign, the zodiac, was needing, and that's where the message was going. So in that sense of making that action, that is a manifestation. It's getting in agreement with where things are going. And so that's what the open heart is here. It's getting in agreement of where things are going, that no more being gridlocked in the damned if you do, damned if you don't mindset, but getting to know your whole self so that you can have this community, this beautiful connection that you want, not just with the lover, but with friends, with society, with yourself. Okay, so let's jump into the start forgiving under the loyal heart. Okay. I'm going to show it to you now. I'm going to take a bit more of a look. This one's talking right now. It's 5 of Wands. There's a lot of strength and passion here for sure. It's breaking through. It's breaking through is what I'm hearing here. That if that's what you're drawn towards, I'm hearing make sure your motives are pure when you communicate. So I hear clear the lines. That means don't put baited speech out or like in this case, fueled speech when you're in a state of kind of like heightened emotion of kind of like in the winter if you're scuffling around the house and you can feel the static build up. Discharge on the doorknob before you discharge on people. It's like in the heat of the moment when conflict starts to arise, to make sure you just take a step back and to put the hand up and say, I need a few minutes. I'm feeling really stressed about this, or, the first words might have started to fly and go, wait. We're too valuable for it to go down like this. So I need to go take a walk. I need to go clear my head. I need to go listen to some good music, go for a drive, whatever it is that helps you process and just flow and discharge. It's something that's been with you for a long time. It's like inherent to who you are. Just go do a bit of that flow, and when the energy comes back down, then revisit this, okay? Because other than that, it's like what's going on here isn't that big of a deal, but it's in that energy that you sell yourself out. It's in that energy, whether, not saying that you're the initiator of it, it's when that when it gets to kind of that heightened tizzy and you didn't even know it was going there. I mean, how many times does that happen, that you just back down for a second and back away? And that's not walking away from whatever this is. It's giving yourself the proper state in which to have resolution, to maintain the connection in a healthy manner without doing any damage. It prevents any wreckage, because it's really not about a one-upsmanship that I see here. It's not that at all. Because, matter of fact, the first thing that the card said when I said I need to show it to you and then have another moment to process, it was about loving the passion in other people, and you like that can be there. But passionate people, sometimes if things do get slightly off kilter, will escalate rapidly, and you find yourself in a argument or a debate, a heated debate before you know it. And that can be wasteful in energy. So just know to remove yourself from it temporarily, but with that statement of, hey, we're too important to let it go like this, or I'm afraid I'm going to say some things I don't mean. I'm just going to go clear my head for a little bit, and we can come back and revisit this when I've calmed down some, or when this has calmed down some, whatever it is. And you'll find it's magic. Unless you grew up in a household like that where it was regularly practiced, some of us didn't even know it was available. So I'm just telling you that's available, and that you have that permission to ease away, to take time to clear the space, so that we continue growing and maturing and developing, and that there's not, unnecessary heartbreak when things kind of snowball out of control. So under here, let's get a little peek in at what they've got to say to us from the Mystical Shaman Oracle. I'm going to need another second with this one, but I'm going to show you first. It's number 25, the Holy Mountain. I see smiles all around. It's quite interesting. So in this, it's like when you do that, that's something that's always been innate to you. Like for me, it's walking or going for a drive or putting on music. It just tunes me right back into myself. And when I'm in myself, I'm not going to come out of character. It's not about the topic. It's about the state of the energy of the environment at that moment. And here, when you come back into that space, it's like the earth begins to spin again. Everything is put in its right order again and is making the progress as it should. And it keeps you from going forward or backwards when we simply need to hold still. We need to stay present in this moment. And your radiance begins to shine and break forth, and it creates tremendous power for you and balancing to who you are. and even more of who you are. It's like, second that emotion, check yes to that, and it lifts you up on this holy mountain, and it helps you feel firm in your foundation because you haven't betrayed yourself. And that's what happens when conflict arises. Often there's another entity there, whether it's a boss or a coworker or a system or society or the person sitting across the table from you. But it calls you to come out of character. And when you do that, you're at odds with yourself. And there won't be true clarity or resolution. And it can take who knows how long to unmuddle that situation. But here, I see it gets your whole mind in alignment. It's showing me that it goes from the frontal lobe, the conscious mind, through your subconscious to your unconscious, and then moves back through. Those moments are actually what is necessary when this is going on. Thank you for teaching me that. That's fantastic that we can put words to something that could seem so challenging. It takes time for it to move, that information, that new information that's coming in that's causing some conflict, to move through the filter of your mind, forward and back, for you to begin to get a sense and a feel of what really is being said, what is really trying to be communicated, and allows you time to get on the same page with yourself before you even begin to try and do that with the other person. But you can see, I'll show you closer, but your sun here and your moon. And there you are, this green little dot, the peak of the mountain. And look at how the world unfolds for you and makes the time and space for you to do that. That is a sign of maturity, is knowing, like Kenny Rogers said, when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, and when to run. But it's just giving yourself that moment and that pause. Okay, so jumping into the next row. We've got the ascending and descending card. Now, this one's very charged too. I love it because that's actually the symbol there. It's used a lot in electrical work, and I love it. It's like controlled expansion. It's trajectory. It's it's kind of like plutonium power, but enough on that for right now. Let's dive in and see what's going on. Aw, nice. We've got number 15, appreciation. She's in this lush garden. This garden that's abounding, but we're only getting a tiny glimpse because behind her there's even a haze and a suggestion that there's even more at hand here than we know. Interesting, because that's exactly what she's doing here. Let's look in both her hands, okay? She's got a handkerchief in one and a rose in the other. And as we know, roses have thorns, right? And that handkerchief, what she was telling me, she said, this is riddled with tears. So we're going to process on down. And I do know from the beginning, the way they had me set up the cards ahead of time, which was interesting. They said this is a block going on down here. And there's more to it. There's been smoke. There's been pestilence. There has been... also hope. I see the light of hope shining in here. But some situations have bent you out of shape, which could be why things cycle through in this manner, and why this is such a key element for you, because this is your power and your turning point, Libra. This is you finding the balance within yourself and giving yourself permission to process as you need to. That is your valid right, and that makes you at peace and makes you powerful and gives you that wisdom that your sign yearns and longs for, is that personal perspective. So let's find out what's going on up under her. Okay. We have the Ace of Wands. And yes, I hear clearly rising from the ashes, because as you can see, this staff, this rod is budding. It's like giving yourself a second chance at life. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Ben Franklin that said so many people die at 25 and are buried at 75. And just because you have a pulse and your heart's beating and you smile and laugh and maybe go on dates or go to parties or, look like life is going on doesn't mean it's felt like life was going on. That heartbreak, that being the only focus of this card over here in the damned if you do and damned if you don't, it felt like you were resignated to that life, like you didn't even know that life adores you and that life is this powerful force that is crafting things in your favor, that the wheel is wanting to turn so that you can have these amazing connections, not just with yourself, but with the love of your life, with family, with friends, and with community, for life to have that purpose and that meaning. Okay. So ascending and descending, you've been doing lots of work, but it's been purpose driven. And let me tell you, a life that's only filled with purpose can feel empty and hollow and create even a whole nother layer of heartbreak. This is the resurrection, and what's coming with this is meaning. Because see, purpose is like that rod, it's that power, it's that leadership. But here is a rod that's budding and coming into life. I mean, we can't just live out of raw sheer power. Think about it. That could be a peach tree, and man, when the peaches come on and you can enjoy that fruit, it gives you something to share. It gives you something to care for. It gives you something to look forward to. That's what I see coming here is life, stepping out of this appreciation where it was filled with the beauty of the rose, but also the prick of the thorn, the tears that came along with it. That emptiness inside is now being filled with meaning. That's what I see wanting to come forward and step forward here. And so that block, I sense it kind of down in the soul, based on your spirit connection. Because in my mind, we have our mind, our body, our soul, and then the spirit is the life that moves in and through those three to bring it together. So let's see. First, I'm going to wait on the block and let's see what's going on under here. It's number 63. It's the wind. So I will tell y'all, this one was set up last night, but I wasn't allowed to look nor read anything. Only one card was turned over, and it was the deep knowing, so that I could set my prayer for you guys, my heart towards y'all, the medicine your way, because love is that medicine connection, is that medicine when it's connected in love. And it's my genuine heart and prayer for y'all with the channel of joy to the world, is that our world, each of our worlds, in our collective world becomes a better and brighter and more beautiful place as you find and gain permission and give yourself permission to live as the beautiful being that you perfectly already are, and that you have the sense of knowing and the clarity of it, more in-depth knowledge of your divine being, of how special you are. So anyways, here I see that illumination, that light coming to balance out the shadow that you've had. And when the two come together, it's going to create the spark of wisdom. It's like reestablishing your connection with spirit. And as the world moves around you, it's almost like a whirlwind, a swirl, a tornado moving around you here, of debris that recollections are going to come to mind. And just let them pass and move and simply observe them here, because I see a pleasant, like, serenity, a calmness on her face. Can you see? And so I don't see this as being disturbing, all right? But I do see that, again, it's leaves that have fallen, bits, debris. It's autumn time, heading into winter is what it's hinting at here. But just to let you know, that's also when Pluto was direct. And now that we're in Pluto retrograde, the thing that is to our advantage is we're able to go back and look at those things and examine them when they're not so emotionally charged. So let's see what is going on with the block. Okay. This is number 36, the middle world. So basically you're bringing us to a question here. And it's like you're asking me, how do I put all this together? How do I really do all this? I'm going to put in the heart of the spread. So what I found and have had to surrender to through my experience, I had a very profound brain injury, which was life-altering, and have been on this growth trajectory for some time now. And I found so much through the spiritual teaching, through life application, through experience and whatever else. It's not so much genuinely about what I can do or how I understand this information, how do I apply it. Sometimes it's allowing your spirit to actually do the work. Your spirit is understanding how this applies to your life, and how it applies to your story and where things are lining up and going for you. This is just simply to provide information, talking points with yourself, maybe even questions to ask within yourself. And that's what I do now. Like, I've learned to not tell myself what to do, which is what happens, when we're little, we're told what to do, and that's kind of how we're programmed to operate. Now, having raised children, that makes sense at the time, but we have to become thinking people and try to understand how to navigate this middle world that's going on. And it's by asking yourself, like when you study up on the 4 angles on your chart, you'll ask yourself, or like I said, you read up some information, then maybe watch a few videos that are on it with a reader that you resonate with. And then you sit back as an observer and listen to what kind of lights you up, what sort of rings your bell, what kind of makes you go, I can see that in me. I've had that before. But don't reach or stretch for anything. That's not what this middle world is talking about. That's not what these cards are hinting at. It's like just simply taking that second look, starting new again and letting life have meaning, making sure that, while you're chewing your food, you taste it. When you're sitting with others, that you're looking in the eye and you're listening. To give to others, okay, that's simple. To give to others what you yourself appreciate. What you yourself appreciate. And this is in dynamic, so it's in relationship. You appreciate somebody listening while you're speaking and genuinely listening. And like maybe they even have questions to have you expound on whatever it is that you're sharing, and that gets you fired up even more. Well, how about you do that for others? That's so meaningful to you, then that's part of who you are. That's part of how you operate. So if that operates making the wheel make that turn, and as we know, lots of times the wheels has 2 characters on it. If that's what's making it turn this way, well then when it's your turn to listen, be fully present, make the eye contact, listen into what they're sharing, and ask them questions when they're through. Do unto others what you'd want done to you. That's your magic. That's how you do this. And to know yourself, it seems that you like people who can really verbally express, that seem very in touch with themselves. Well, get to know more about yourself. And what I found is often it seemed incredibly vague, and then we can also be kind of narrow in the way we perceive ourselves by maybe only studying or 1 or 2 parts of our own zodiac, like our sun and our rising sign. And you're more diverse than that. You could even begin to study all facets, and not necessarily through like the printable kind like me. Pluto and Uranus are in my Libra, and therefore with Pluto I know a lot about death and resurrection. I know about empowerment. I know about stepping over your own dead body, getting out of your own way. I know about how to move within the dance of life with energy. But it took me looking at Pluto, not what someone else says Pluto in Libra means for me, but looking at the nature of Pluto, and then maybe looking at the nature of Pluto in the houses. And I know I'm going on there, but I think you kind of get the picture of what I'm saying here. And that makes perfect sense. Give to others what you yourself appreciate giving. Don't try and give them what you think they want from you, because that's off. That's this. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's not good for either party involved. So, you know, operate out of your true self. Today's the day. It's the day for you. We need you. We want you. We like you. We want you here. And how else could we know to connect other than the way you're trying to connect? So be your authentic true self. Live out loud. And now I got 3 more cards kind of peeking us over here that were the bottom of the decks that we used. It's number 45. Man holding a heart. So what I see coming from this is, as you put your heart out there and your love out there, your love will be returned. Not refused, not rejected. So we just swiping that off the windshield right now. We're cleaning that up. No, it will be returned to you. It's like an echo. It goes out from you and it comes back to you. So what you put into this world, how perfect. I haven't even looked at them. They've just been sitting up over here. But it's reiterating this Phoenix card, that wisdom of the wind and the middle world. Let's see if I can do this better. There, do I get an A+ now? Okay. That's what life's calling for from you. To have that real genuine connection. This isn't like off in the mind space, like this ascending and descending that we had going on here with appreciation. You know, that a life full of purpose, but absolutely no meaning. This is the meaning coming. This is the pleasure, the participation, the prosperity, the flourishing, the feel goods, you know, the enjoyment of life. And then, yes, on these we have the Page of Wands. You see all the dragons, all the power, all the assistance flying around here. It's, and the smile on the face. I can see it. You're ready to raise that staff, that wand, and begin to engage with life. Like all this, whether you know it or not, is already percolating in your soul and in your spirit. And it's not what I say that matters. What matters is what you hear. What matters is what your spirit drives you through, and will begin to give you practical application of how to live out loud. All right. And under that we have the moon, number 37. Look at her. The expanse of the earth. That's what her gown is. I know it's the moon. But what I saw over here is when you give yourself permission to process the way you do, and for some of you it's hinting at not just when this happens, that meditation, that not mind control of others, not deciding what others think or trying to project onto others, but taking time to meditate and to draw in the energy of the earth, of the world, of life itself, and to be able to connect with that and radiate back out is your greatest power. And it brings a lot of balance and health in life into you because you're voracious. You need a lot of source and resource. So why not tune in and tap into nature itself? You don't have to be a tree hugger or anything, because I see this as kind of quiet reflection of tuning into energies, that type of a thing. But that's what I saw up here. Is it goes along with the moon card, because look at the top of the card up here. We had the moon cycling around, and that's why I was saying day and night that serves you. Okay, so this is fantastic. I appreciate the life lessons you've shared with me here today. I can feel my own spirit and soul bubbling and percolating and excited about the information that we discovered here together. This is practical life knowledge, and I hope it serves you well. I'd love to hear back from you guys about what meaning has been added to your life, about what, giving others what you yourself enjoy brings to the table, and how you begin to see your life be the very life you've dreamt of. So, anyways, Libra, this is Joy for Joy of the World saying bye for now. I love you.